Hey everyone. If you're here, it means you're as fascinated as we are about how AI is changing the business world, especially these really complex systems like ERP and SCM.
Yeah, these are the systems that keep companies running.
Exactly. So get this, Salesforce just dropped a bombshell announcement at Dreamforce 2024. It's a brand new platform, and they're calling it Agentforce.
It's a pretty big deal. We're talking about AI that can basically run itself within the Salesforce ecosystem. Like, imagine self-driving software, but for your whole business.
I know. I've been poring over this article that breaks down Agentforce, and it's honestly mind-blowing. Like, this could fundamentally change how businesses operate. But hold on. Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's back up a little. What exactly are these AI agents, and what makes them so different from what we've seen before?
Okay, so imagine having a team member who can analyze mountains of data, make decisions based on what they find, and then actually take action, all without needing breaks, sleep, or even complaining about the coffee.
That's the dream.
Right. Well, that's basically what Agentforce is offering. These AI agents, they're powered by something called the Atlas Reasoning Engine, and they can handle tasks within Salesforce all on their own.
So we're not talking about simple automation here. These agents can make actual decisions.
Exactly. Think of the Atlas Reasoning Engine like a brain that's constantly learning. It's not just following a set of pre-programmed instructions. It's actually adapting and getting smarter based on the data it processes. The more it works, the better it gets.
Fascinating. Okay, but even AI needs information to work with. It's not like these agents are making decisions in a vacuum.
No, it's definitely not. Data is the fuel, and that's where Salesforce's data cloud comes into play.
Data cloud.
Right. It's designed to pull in data from all these different systems, your ERP, your SCM, you name it. It creates one unified view of everything that's happening in a company.
Now that's where things get really interesting for me. So we're not just talking about data within Salesforce itself, right? This is about connecting to those external systems that businesses rely on every day. I mean, we're talking about those big players like SAP and Oracle. How does Agentforce bridge that gap?
That's where MuleSoft comes in, remember them.
All right, with your ability to connect different systems.
Exactly. They have all these pre-built connectors for tons of enterprise software, so it makes it really smooth to get data flowing between those external systems and the Salesforce Data Cloud.
Ah, okay, so that's how it all comes together. So all this data from your customer information to inventory levels to financial records, it's all feeding into Agentforce in real time, giving these AI agents a complete picture to base their decisions on.
You got it.
Now I'm starting to see the real potential here. It's not just about automating tasks, it's about making smarter decisions and faster, based on a complete understanding of the business. So are there any real-world examples of this in action? Has anyone actually started using Agentforce yet?
Well, it's still early days, but the article I was reading mentioned a few companies that have jumped on board.
Oh yeah, like who?
Well, some big names, actually, like OpenTable, Wiley, and even Wyndham Resorts. They're using Agentforce to handle things like supply reordering, pricing adjustments, and even interacting with customers.
Okay, so they're seeing real results. Let's break that down a bit, though. Can you give me a specific example? Say I'm a manufacturing company. How would Agentforce change my day-to-day?
Okay, so picture this. You have an AI agent that's always keeping an eye on your raw material levels. The second you hit a critical threshold, boom, that agent automatically reorders what you need so you never have to worry about production delays. No more scrambling at the last minute.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Especially with all the supply chain issues everyone's dealing with. It's like having a safety net. So besides automation, what other benefits can companies expect by integrating Agentforce with their systems?
Well, think about it. All your different systems, sales, inventory, finance, they're all talking to each other seamlessly. This kind of data integration can make a business so much more efficient, and the impact can ripple out across the entire organization.
I see. It's not just about each task being automated. It's about the entire business working together more smoothly with better information. Do you have any examples of how that data integration could play out in the real world?
Sure, let's say you're a retail company. By connecting your customer purchase history with your inventory management system, you can always make sure that the products people want are in stock. No more missing out on sales because you ran out of that one popular item.
That's so smart. It's like predicting what customers want before they even know they want it. But what about when things get really busy? Like During a huge sales event or a sudden spike in demand, can Agentforce handle that kind of pressure?
That's the beauty of its scalability. Agentforce can handle a growing workload without needing to hire more people. Imagine an AI agent managing a surge in orders during the holidays, keeping everything running smoothly while your human team can focus on other things.
This is starting to sound like the ultimate efficiency dream team. But there's one piece I'm really curious about: predictive analytics. AI is supposed to be amazing at spotting trends and predicting what's going to happen next. How does that work with Agentforce?
So imagine you're running a farm, right?
Why?
By analyzing all the data, like your past crop yields, weather patterns, even market trends, Agentforce could actually help you predict demand months in advance. You'd know how much to plant, when to harvest, and even how to adjust your pricing for maximum profit.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the exciting stuff, but let's be real, there have to be some challenges too, right? What are some of the hurdles that businesses might face when implementing this?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just a plug-and-play solution. Integrating AI into existing systems is complex. It takes a lot of planning, and if it's not done right, you could end up with bad data or even disruptions to your business processes.
So it's not just about buying the software and letting it run wild.
Right. You need to think carefully about how these AI agents will fit in with how your business already works. You need experts who understand both the technology and your company's specific needs.
That makes sense. What other challenges come to mind?
Well, security is a huge one. You've got all this sensitive data being handled by AI, so there's always a risk, even with a company like Salesforce. Remember that data breach at Disney with Slack?
Yeah, that was a big one.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of trust and transparency.
Ah, right.
Yep.
How do we know these AI agents are making the right choices? Are they operating in a black box? Or can we understand what they're doing and why?
That's the key. For people to really embrace AI, they need to be able to trust it. Salesforce says they're all about transparency, but they need to be really clear about how Agentforce works and give people the tools to monitor what's happening.
So it's not just about the tech itself. It's about building confidence in that tech.
Exactly. And that's a conversation that's going to keep evolving as AI becomes more common in the workplace. Now, before we go too deep into the ethical questions, I want to touch on something else. We're focusing on Agentforce, but Salesforce is doing a lot more with AI than just this one platform, right? Their whole AI strategy seems to be changing quickly.
You're absolutely right. Agentforce is just one piece of the puzzle. They're pouring resources into their entire AI portfolio, enhancing their existing products, developing brand new ones. It's quite impressive.
Can you give me some specific examples? What else are they focusing on?
Well, they've really beefed up Data Cloud, for one. It can now handle all kinds of data, text, audio, even social media posts. Wow, so they're expanding the types of information that can be analyzed. It seems like that would give their AI systems a much richer understanding of what's going on.
Absolutely. And they've also made it way easier to search through all that data and find the connections between different pieces of information.
Oh, that makes sense. What
Yeah.
good is all that data if you can't find what you're looking for? What about MuleSoft? Any news on that front?
Oh, yeah. They've been busy too. They've been developing new tools that make it even easier to connect to all sorts of data sources. That just makes Agentforce even more powerful.
So it's all about creating this interconnected web of data that fuels these AI agents and lets them reach their full potential.
Exactly. And that's a smart move because Salesforce isn't alone in this race. Microsoft, Google, Oracle, even Amazon, they're all competing to be the leader in enterprise AI.
It's a crowded market.
It is, but Salesforce has a lot going for it. They know the enterprise market inside and out. They've been serving businesses for decades, and they have a proven track record of coming up with solutions that actually work.
So they're not just some tech company trying to figure things out.
Right, and let's not forget about their massive amount of data. They have a huge customer base, and they're the leading CRM provider. That's a gold mine for training their AI algorithms and making them incredibly accurate.
It's like they have a head start in this AI race just by having all that data already.
You could say that. And they have this incredible culture of innovation. They're always pushing the boundaries and trying new things, which is essential in the fast-paced world of AI.
So they're not afraid to experiment, to take risks, and to constantly improve their AI. That's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. That innovative spirit is going to be key to their success in the long run. But in the midst of all this talk about technology and competition, let's not forget the human side of things.
You're right. We can't lose sight of the fact that AI is a tool. It's only as good as the people who are using it.
Exactly. And that leads to a really important question. How do we make sure that AI is used responsibly and ethically and in a way that benefits everyone?
That's a huge question, one that we'll definitely be diving into later. But before we get too philosophical, I want to focus on how AI is already affecting the workplace.
It's a hot topic these days, and for good reason. AI has the power to completely change the way we work. We need to understand both the opportunities and the challenges that come with that change.
We've already talked about automation and efficiency, but what are some of the other ways AI is impacting jobs and careers?
Well, on one hand, AI is starting to do tasks that used to be done by humans. That's leading to some job displacement, and that's understandably causing anxiety.
It's the whole robots are taking our jobs fear.
Right. But throughout history, every time we've had a big technological leap forward, it's shaken up the job market. This isn't new. What's different now is the speed and the scale at which AI is developing.
So it's not about stopping progress. It's about learning to adapt.
Exactly. We need to be focusing on the skills that AI can't replicate. Creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence, being able to adapt to new situations. Those are going to be the skills that set people apart in the future.
It's almost ironic. In a world that's becoming increasingly reliant on technology, it's our uniquely human qualities that will be most valuable.
It is pretty ironic. And for businesses, this means shifting the focus from just automating tasks to understanding how AI can actually make their human workforce even better. Investing in training, creating a culture of learning and adaptation, those are the companies that are going to thrive.
So the companies that embrace this new reality, they're going to be the winners.
Exactly. And the ones that cling to the old ways of doing things, well,
They're going to be left behind.
got it. But, it's not all sunshine and roses. AI has a lot of potential benefits, but there are also some potential downsides, some risks that we need to be aware of.
You're right. Every new technology comes with its own set of challenges. What are some of the risks we need to be thinking about when it comes to AI?
Well, as we give AI more power to make decisions, we need to be incredibly careful about how we design and train these systems. A big concern is algorithmic bias.
Ah, yes. We've seen examples where AI systems have ended up reflecting the biases that already exist in our society.
Yeah.
How do we prevent that from happening?
It's a tough challenge. Often it comes down to the data we use to train these systems. If the data itself is biased, the AI will learn those biases and perpetuate them.
So it's not just about the technology, it's about the people behind it, the people who are collecting and preparing the data that feeds these AI systems.
Precisely. We have to be incredibly mindful of the data we're using, making sure it's as representative and fair as possible. And we also need ways to identify and correct bias in these algorithms. We have to constantly check their outputs and make adjustments as needed.
It's almost like raising a child. You have to constantly guide and correct their behavior as they learn and grow.
It's a good analogy. And just like with a child, it's a journey of learning and improvement. But it's not just about the data and the algorithms. We also need to be thinking about the bigger picture, the impact AI will have on society as a whole. How do we ensure that AI is used for good and benefits everyone?
Okay, now we're getting into some really big questions. But these are important conversations to have. If we're handing over so much power to AI, we need to make sure it's aligned with our values as a society.
Absolutely. It's not just about preventing harm. It's about making sure that AI is used to tackle the biggest challenges we face, things like climate change, poverty, inequality.
It sounds like we need a whole new way of thinking about AI, one that goes beyond just efficiency and productivity and focuses on a more human-centered approach.
That's exactly what we need, a shift in our thinking, a recognition that AI has the potential to be a powerful force for good. To get there, we need to move past the hype and have some real nuanced conversations about the ethical and societal implications of this technology.
And those conversations need to be happening everywhere. From the developers and researchers to the policymakers and global leaders, this is a responsibility we all share, and the decisions we make today about AI will have a huge impact on the future.
Absolutely. We're at a crossroads, and the path we choose will determine the future of AI and how it shapes our world. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. We've talked a lot about the potential, but what does all of this mean for business leaders right now? What should they be doing to get ready for this AI-driven future?
That's a question a lot of business leaders are asking themselves right now. They hear about AI all the time, but they're not sure where to even start.
Well, the first thing they need to do is educate themselves. They need to understand the basics of AI, what it can do, the different ways it can be used, and both the benefits and the risks.
So it's not just about hiring a bunch of data scientists and calling it a day. There's more to it than that. Oh,
Absolutely. Business leaders need to be able to ask the right questions, to understand the limitations of AI, and to make smart decisions about how to integrate it into their organizations.
they need to be AI literate, not just AI aware.
That's a great way to put it. And once they have that understanding, they need to start thinking strategically about how to use AI to achieve their goals.
So they need to see AI not as a gimmick, but as a powerful tool.
Exactly. But it's not just about the technology, it's also about the people. Business leaders need to invest in their employees, give them the training and development they need to succeed in a workplace where AI is playing a bigger and bigger role.
It's about creating a culture where people feel comfortable working with AI and understand how it can help them do their jobs better.
Precisely. And that requires a change in mindset, not just for the leadership team, but for everyone in the company.
It's a lot of change, a lot of adaptation. But, I'm seeing a theme emerge here, a theme of collaboration. Collaboration between humans and AI, between businesses and their employees, even between competitors in the AI space.
You're absolutely right. In this rapidly evolving world, collaboration is key. We need to break down those walls between different groups, share our knowledge, and work together to ensure that AI is developed and used in a responsible and ethical way.
It's like we're all waking up to the fact that we're in this together, and the future of AI depends on our ability to cooperate.
It's a really exciting time to be alive, full of challenges and opportunities. And as we move forward into this unknown territory, I think it's important to remember that we're not just building AI systems, we're shaping the future of humanity.
That's a powerful thought, and I think it's a great place to leave our listeners for today. We'll be back soon to continue this deep dive, but until then, keep those questions coming.
Absolutely. The world of AI is vast and constantly changing. There's always something new to learn. It's a pretty amazing partnership, really, humans and AI working together. But, like we were saying earlier, this whole AI revolution is raising some pretty big questions about what it means for the future of work.
Yeah, it's a little unsettling, to be honest. We talked about how AI can empower workers, but there's no getting around it. The fear that AI is going to take away jobs is a very real concern. I mean, when you see AI agents taking on these more complex tasks, it makes you wonder, what does that mean for us humans?
I get it. That anxiety makes sense. It's a natural reaction when technology is changing so fast. But instead of thinking of AI as this job-stealing monster, what if we looked at it differently? Like, what if it's actually a chance for the job market to evolve?
Okay, I like that evolution instead of extinction. So
Oh,
you're saying instead of trying to hold on to the jobs of the past, we should be looking ahead to what kind of skills and roles will be needed in the future.
exactly. Think about what happened during the Industrial Revolution. It was a huge shift. People were moving from farms to factories, a lot of disruption, but it also created completely new industries and jobs that people couldn't have imagined before. AI is probably going to be similar. It's going to change the employment landscape, and who knows what kind of opportunities will emerge.
So we need to learn to ride the wave, not try to fight against it. But how do you prepare for jobs that don't even exist yet? What kind of skills should we be focusing on?
That's where those uniquely human traits come in. The things AI, at least for now, can't replicate. Creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving, emotional intelligence, the ability to adapt. Those are the skills that are going to set people apart in a world full of AI.
It's funny, right? As technology gets more advanced, it's our humanness that becomes our biggest strength.
It is kind of a paradox, yeah. And what that means for businesses is they need to shift their focus. It's not just about automating tasks. It's about figuring out how AI can make their human employees even better. Invest in training, build a culture that encourages continuous learning and adaptation. Those are the companies that are going to come out on top.
It sounds like the companies that get this right, they're going to have a huge advantage.
No doubt about it. But we need to talk about the other side of the coin. We've talked a lot about the potential benefits of AI, but what about the potential downsides? What are some of the risks that we need to be aware of?
Yeah, it can't all be positive. Every new technology has its drawbacks. What are some of the risks we need to be thinking about with AI?
As we hand over more and more decision-making power to algorithms, we have to be incredibly thoughtful about how they're designed, how they're trained, and how they're used. And one of the biggest concerns is algorithmic bias.
That's a big one. We've seen cases where AI systems have actually made existing societal biases even worse, leading to unfair outcomes. How do we guard against that?
It's a really complex issue. A lot of times it comes down to the data that's used to train these systems. If the data itself reflects those biases, the AI is going to learn them and keep repeating them.
So it's not just the technology, it's the humans behind the scenes, the ones who are gathering and cleaning that data and feeding it to these AI systems.
Exactly. We need to be super careful about the data we're using, making sure it represents everyone fairly. And we need ways to identify and fix bias in these algorithms, monitor how they're doing and make changes when necessary.
It's like being a parent, right?
Yeah,
You have to keep guiding and correcting your kids' behavior as they grow and learn.
it is. And just like with kids, it's a continuous process.
Mm.
But we can't stop there. It's not just about the data and the algorithms. We also need to think about the bigger picture. How is AI going to affect society as a whole? How do we make sure it's used for good and everyone benefits?
Okay, those are some big questions, but they're important ones to think about. If we're going to give AI so much power, we need to be absolutely certain that it's aligned with what we believe in as a society.
Absolutely. It's not just about making sure AI doesn't do any harm. It's about making sure it's used to tackle the toughest problems we face, like climate change, poverty, the big stuff.
So we need a whole new way of thinking about AI, one that goes beyond just making things more efficient and focuses on what it means for us as humans.
That's exactly it, a shift in our thinking. AI has the potential to make the world a better place, but to get there, we need to stop focusing on the hype and have some real, honest conversations about the ethical side of things.
And those conversations need to be happening everywhere, not just in Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah.
From the people developing the technology to the people making policies, everyone needs to be involved.
Absolutely. This is a global challenge, and the decisions we make now about AI are going to have a huge impact on the future. But let's bring it back to something a little more concrete for a minute. We've talked a lot about the big picture, but what does all of this mean for people listening right now? What's the takeaway for them?
Yeah, that's what everyone wants to know, right?
Yeah.
All this AI stuff is interesting, but how does it actually affect me? How is it going to impact my job, my life, my future?
That's the million-dollar question. And the truth is, it depends. It depends on what industry you're in, what you do, what skills you have, and how willing you are to learn new things and adapt to the changing landscape.
So there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right. But I can give you some examples. In healthcare, AI is already being used to analyze medical images, diagnose diseases, and even create personalized treatment plans.
Wow, so AI is literally helping doctors save lives.
In a way, yes. It's not replacing doctors, but it's giving them some really powerful tools to make better decisions.
That's incredible. What about other industries?
In finance, AI is helping banks detect fraud, manage risk, and give people customized financial advice.
So AI is keeping our money safer and helping us make smarter financial decisions. What else?
Manufacturing is another big one. AI can help optimize production processes, improve quality control, even design new products.
It's amazing. AI is already touching so many parts of our lives, even if we don't always realize it.
It is, and as AI keeps getting smarter, we're going to see even more applications popping up in all kinds of industries.
So this isn't just about robots and self-driving cars anymore. AI is fundamentally changing the way we work, the way we live, the way we experience the world.
You got it. And that's why it's so important to stay informed, to be curious, to keep an open mind about all the possibilities AI brings to the table.
Because this is a wave that's not going away. And the best way to ride that wave is to be prepared.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that brings us back to that idea of lifelong learning. In this age of AI, it's more important than ever to be constantly learning, adapting, and evolving.
What's in demand today might be outdated tomorrow. We all need to be agile and open to new challenges.
Absolutely. And it's not just about those technical skills. It's about developing those uniquely human skills that AI just can't replicate. Creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence. Those are the things that make us special.
Those are the things that are going to make us valuable in a world where AI is everywhere.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's not about AI versus humans. It's about AI and humans working together to build a better future.
And that's a great message to leave everyone with. A message of hope, collaboration, and the power of human ingenuity. But before we wrap up, I want to switch gears for a moment and talk about regulation. It's a topic that's generating a lot of buzz these days, especially in the AI space.
It's a critical issue, and it's becoming more urgent as AI gets more sophisticated and impacts more areas of our lives.
We're hearing calls for regulation from everyone, tech leaders, politicians, everyday people. Why is regulation so important when it comes to AI?
Well, AI presents these ethical and societal challenges that our existing laws and regulations just aren't equipped to handle.
Can you give me some examples? What are some of the specific concerns that people are raising?
We talked about algorithmic bias, but there are also concerns about AI taking away jobs, violating people's privacy, even the possibility of it being used for harmful purposes.
It sounds like we're in uncharted territory here. AI is developing so rapidly, regulations are struggling to keep up.
It's a bit of a Wild West situation, yeah. And that's why we need a smart and proactive approach to regulation. We need clear rules and safeguards that encourage innovation while still protecting everyone's interests.
It's a delicate balancing act. You don't want to stifle progress, but you also don't want things to get out of control.
Exactly. That's why this discussion is so crucial. We need experts from different fields, technology, law, ethics, social science, to come together and figure out a regulatory framework that's both effective and adaptable.
Because AI is constantly changing, and any regulations we put in place need to be able to keep up.
You're absolutely right. Rigid rules could end up stifling innovation. We need a more flexible approach that allows us to adjust as the technology develops.
So it's not just about different disciplines working together, it's about governments, industry leaders, and everyday citizens all having a voice in this conversation.
Exactly. This is a global issue that needs a global response. We need to work together to develop international standards and guidelines for how AI is developed and used.
It's like we're at the dawn of a new era of global governance, where the rules are still being written.
That's a great way to put it. And the stakes are incredibly high. The choices we make about AI regulation today will determine how this technology shapes our world for generations to come.
It's a huge responsibility, but also a chance to create a future where AI benefits everyone. But let's bring it back down to earth for a minute. Our listeners are probably wondering how all this talk about AI and regulation actually impacts them personally.
You're right. Let's make this more relatable.
So let's say you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, this is all interesting, but what does it actually mean for me? Like, how is AI going to affect my job, my life, my future?
That's a question on everyone's mind. How does all of this translate into real-world impact?
Exactly. It's easy to get lost in the hype, but at the end of the day, we all want to know how AI is going to change our lives.
Absolutely. And I think the answer is it depends. It depends on what industry you're in, what your job is, what skills you have, and how willing you are to learn and adapt.
Okay, so let's get specific. Can you give us some examples of how AI is already affecting different jobs and industries?
Sure. In healthcare, AI is being used to help doctors analyze medical images, diagnose diseases, and even come up with personalized treatment plans.
So AI is literally saving lives.
It's playing a role, yes. It's not replacing doctors, but it's giving them powerful tools to make better decisions.
That's amazing. What about other industries?
In finance, AI is helping to catch fraud, manage risk, and give people personalized financial advice.
So AI is keeping our money safer and helping us make smarter financial decisions. What else?
Manufacturing is another big one. AI is being used to make factories more efficient, improve quality control, even help design new products.
It's incredible. AI is already everywhere, even if we don't always realize it.
It is, and it's only going to become more prevalent. As AI continues to evolve, we're going to see even more creative and innovative applications popping up all over the place.
So this isn't just about robots and self-driving cars anymore. AI is changing the way we work, the way we live, the way we interact with the world around us.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to stay informed, to be curious, and to keep an open mind about what AI can do.
Because this is a wave that's not going away. The
Mhm.
best way to ride that wave is to be prepared.
Well said. And that brings us back to that idea of lifelong learning. In this age of AI, it's more important than ever to be constantly learning, adapting, and growing.
The skills that are hot today might be obsolete tomorrow. We all need to be flexible and ready to take on new challenges.
Absolutely. And it's not just about those technical skills. It's about developing those human skills that AI just can't replicate. Creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence. Those are the things that make us uniquely human.
Those are the skills that are going to make us valuable in a world that's increasingly driven by AI.
Exactly. Because when it comes down to it, it's not about AI versus humans. It's about AI and humans working together to create a better future.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot how Agentforce works, the bigger picture of AI in society, and the impact on jobs. But before we wrap things up, I want to swing back to something we discussed earlier. That whole idea of a unified data view. What Data Cloud and Agentforce can create together. It seems pretty powerful.
Oh, it is. It's a pretty fundamental shift in how businesses can operate. Think about it. For so long, companies have had all their data scattered everywhere. Marketing's over here with their numbers, sales has their own thing going on, finance is doing their thing. It's like a bunch of separate islands.
Yeah, it's like trying to make sense of a puzzle when you only have a few of the pieces. You can't see the whole picture.
Exactly. That's what Data Cloud is trying to solve. It
Oh, boy.
breaks down those walls and brings all that data together in one place so everyone's working from the same set of information. Suddenly, you can see how all the pieces fit together, how your marketing efforts are driving sales, how customer behavior is affecting inventory, how the money's flowing through the whole operation. It changes the game completely, no matter what level you're at in a company.
Okay, I'm starting to see the strategic advantage. But can we break it down a little more? How does this unified view affect different roles in a company? Let's start at the top with the executives. How does it help them make better decisions?
So imagine you're the CEO, right? You've got this dashboard that shows you everything that's happening across the company, all in real time. You can see which products are flying off the shelves, which marketing campaigns are bringing in the most leads, which regions are exceeding expectations, the whole picture. That kind of insight lets you spot trends, identify opportunities, and make those big strategic calls that impact the whole business.
So it's like having a crystal ball, but one that's based on real data.
Huh, yeah, something like that. But it's not just for the CEO. Everyone benefits.
Right. Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. How does this affect someone like a sales manager, for example?
Well, a sales manager can use this data to see how their team is performing. They can see who's crushing it, who might need some extra coaching, and which deals are moving forward and which ones are stuck. They can also analyze buying patterns to figure out how to approach different types of customers. It's all about making smarter decisions, not just going with your gut.
So it's like giving sales managers a cheat sheet, but one that's constantly updating based on real data. What about someone in marketing? How do they benefit?
Oh, marketing folks love this. They can track how all their campaigns are performing across every channel, see what messages are working, who's responding to what, and they can use that data to get really specific with their marketing. The right message to the right person at the right time. It's a whole new level of personalization.
So it's about making those marketing dollars work harder and building those customer relationships. Now, what about someone in a more operational role? Say, someone managing the supply chain. How does this unified view help them?
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting. A supply chain manager can see exactly what's happening with inventory levels, spot any potential problems before they blow up, and make sure everything is running smoothly. They can even use the data to forecast demand, anticipate disruptions. It's like having a sixth sense. It takes all of the guesswork out of it.
So they're not just reacting to problems, they're staying ahead of the game.
Exactly. And this all comes back to that idea of a more efficient, more agile, more successful business. But it's not just about the data itself, right? We need the tools to make sense of it all.
Right. What good is a mountain of data if you can't figure out what it means?
That's where AI comes in. Tools like Agentforce can automate all those repetitive tasks, find patterns that humans would miss, and give you insights that you wouldn't get otherwise.
It's like having a whole team of data analysts working 24/7, but without the coffee breaks.
Exactly. And AI is only getting smarter. We can expect even more powerful tools in the future that will help us make even better use of all this data.
It really is an exciting time for businesses. But let's not get carried away. Technology is just a tool, right? It's still up to us humans to figure out how to use it effectively.
Absolutely. AI can do a lot, but in the end, it's the human touch that matters. We need to make the decisions, set the strategy, and guide the way.
So it's a partnership. AI and humans working together.
Exactly. And I think that's a great takeaway from our deep dive today. This whole world of AI is full of incredible possibilities, but we need to approach it thoughtfully, ethically, and with a focus on how it can benefit everyone.
Well said. We've covered so much today, from the specifics of Agentforce to the broader impact of AI on businesses, jobs, even society as a whole. And while we've only scratched the surface, I hope our listeners walk away feeling informed, energized, and maybe even a little inspired.
I hope so too. This is just the beginning of a really exciting journey, and there's so much more to discover.
So to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and don't be afraid to dive deep into this amazing world of AI. Until next time.